talk. I absolutely love watching that. So yeah, without further ado, I just want to tell you all, first of all, what this is. So this is the SCANZ Excellence in Science Communication Award, and that's celebrated biannually, so every 2 years, by the Science Communication Association of New Zealand, i.e. us, to recognise outstanding communication of science or related fields to a non-expert audience. And that includes as well a nice cash prize of $1,000 to help support the winner to continue their work. So it's judged on the quality of how scientific concepts are explained, how the interest of the audience is captured, the relevance to and the style of communication for the intended audience, and as well as if you identify objectives, how well they perform against those. So basically how successful it's been. So in general, the project must have been demonstrated that the chosen audience is engaged and gained a better understanding of an aspect of science and or the role and importance of science in our field or globally. So yeah, I'm delighted to let you all know that we had a very difficult decision to make. One was to either have it here online, which is a little bit lackluster, but it's now, or wait till next year. And so we discussed with the winner, and they decided they wanted to have it now, which is fair enough. I mean, who can keep that under wraps for 1 year? So, so yeah, we had the finalists. We had lots of entries, and they were all of really high caliber. So it was very, very difficult to make the decision. And the judging panel really did spend a lot of time, umming and ahhing. And we came up with 2 finalists, and the first is the environmental reporting team at the Ministry for the Environment, which was the entry for that report was the Our Atmosphere and Climate 2020 report, and that was submitted by Drew Bingham on behalf of his team. And the second one was submitted by Diane Sika Paul-Tornu in the Department of Pathology and Molecular Medicine at the University of Otago in Wellington. And her work was communicating the work that they're doing on towards finding a new way of preventing acute rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease through using currently they use injections of penicillin, which is quite painful. So they're trying to find a new way of doing that, and what they were doing is engaging the communities to do that. I'm going to give you a little bit more of an information for that. But they, yeah, so they were the 2 finalists, and yeah, I will just give you a quick overview based on what they submitted about their projects, and then go into like who the winner is. So with the Atmosphere and Climate report, this is, they report every year, but this year is different, or 2020 was different, because instead of simply presenting the data and making the user analyze for themselves what it meant, this time the report explained the so what, and while the changes, like why the state of the climate was so important, which was really difficult because normally they had just limited to what the state of what the snapshot of the climate was and left it at that. And oftentimes they climate communications recite a litany of disturbing facts and scary projections, and some of the report this time tried to not do that and connect with the reader through shared values with examples of how the changing climate is impacting the things that the reader cares about. So for example, they talked about in case study how a community recently had to move an urupa, which is a Māori place of rest for their dead, and in response to the flood risk, and also or how a king tide, a citizen science program monitoring king tides, that showed how they showed what the climate change would look like if the sea completely inundated it. So yeah, one of the other difficulties this team had, which we noted and the judging panel noted, was that there are legal restrictions in reporting. You can't actually talk about this, from my understanding, the actions that can be done to in response to that, the responses. So this time the team decided, okay, we're limited by that, but we're going to set up some related little what's they called, projects, or different, I'm not the word today. Yeah, they were like connected but separate projects that meant that they can actually talk about what to do. And this included a series of educational resources at the Science Learning Hub for students, and also from the report they developed a national campaign which is called Our Climate Future, and that included a series of videos based on the report's case studies, an online comic in partnership with the spin-off, and a bilingual pop-up exhibition that is touring the country to encourage conversations about climate change in local communities. And with that, the report received extensive media coverage, and tens of thousands of people went to the exhibits and went onto the Science Learning Hub resources, and yeah, and they lots of social media channels as well, lots of hits on that. So we liked how there was, despite the limitations of the legal restrictions on reporting in the report, they really did think outside of that box onto how we can actually more creatively engage and genuinely, authentically empower people to actually make those decisions and acts around climate change, and to see more with values, feelings and emotions what that might mean for them. So we really like that, because that's why there's one finalist. And then the other finalist, Ziane's work. So just to give you a bit of background of what acute rheumatic fever is, in case you don't know. So acute rheumatic fever is the body's autoimmune reaction to an untreated group A streptococcal throat infection, or infection of the throat and skin. So if that happens in a child lots of times, or if one gets really bad and it's not treated quickly, then it can lead to permanent heart damage known as rheumatic heart disease. So that's rheumatic heart disease is a significant cause of disease and death globally. And disturbingly, in Aotearoa, like most developed countries don't really have high cases, except here, the developed countries. And so with that, in Pacific and Māori children and youth are disproportionately affected by acute rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease. And in 2011, acute rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease rates in the Pacific region were 5 times higher than in Aotearoa. So without a vaccine, the best preventative measure is to, as in Diane's word, to have painful monthly intramuscular injections of a type of penicillin known as benzathine penicillin G, otherwise known as BPG, given for at least 10 years or more. So that's known as secondary prophylaxis, just to prevent any infections by the streptococcal, and then therefore acute rheumatic fever and then heart disease. So they have to follow, these children have to follow this timetable, and it can be really difficult due to the pain and inconvenience. So Diane and her team are looking to try and find a new form of penicillin and a way of administering it, from my understanding, that isn't quite so painful and inconvenient. However, they need to really know how these communities are affected by this BPG injection. So for work involves, like what issues are there with it. That's just what we know, but what are the actual issues within these communities? So she has gone out and brought together people from these communities to tell them what they think, and also they look at the pharmacokinetics of the BPG injection, which I understand is how the properties of a drug can affect the properties of a of the illness or muscles or tissues, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And maybe somebody in the chat can fill me in on that. And then generating different forms of penicillin that can they use to prevent these conditions. So what they did was, instead of doing the usual, let us tell you that's what you need to know, end of story, she created a complete program from scratch, which really involved very tailored to specific communities. So they used techniques that are called, so they said, she said here in her application, so many cases, Pacific Fauna, or fauna, I believe it's a fauna, Pacific fauna were held and involved application of the Talanoa approach and Kakala research framework as a guide to promote and ensure respectful, appropriate, safe and inclusive dialogue, discussion and research conduct. Pacific fauna is a gathering where Pacific peoples come together, usually for a collective purpose. Talanoa is a Pacific guide or approach to discussions in the Pacific setting, and is a means of communication and sharing experiences. Talanoa is a Pacific way of engaging in open dialogue, discussion and deliberation in a setting where respect, reciprocity and the importance of relationship is demonstrated, and open respectful discussions are ensured and inclusivity promoted. And the Kakala framework is a cultural guide and mechanism for supporting respectful research activity and Pacific community engagement and communication efforts within the Pacific context. So what they did was they applied all of those, and the audience was all the way from people who are involved in the research that they're actually looking at, people who are already taking the BP and what their issues were with it, all the way through schools, Pacific communities in certain parts of Aotearoa, and then university students, PhD students, all the way up to medical professionals in not just in Aotearoa but the Pacific region, I believe. And as a result of that, they got complete consultation. Also in the schools, because there was what she's noted was as a role model there, a lot of the students wanted to then think about going into STEM careers similarly. And a lot of university students wanted to try and contribute towards the research that Diane's doing. So I don't want to keep you all too long, it's nearly 1:45 already. So I would love to just let you all know that it was an incredibly difficult decision because there were two very different projects, highly merit. Yeah, so we love Diane's focus on communicating, community communications, consulting and listening rather than just informing, with a group that still largely underserved and underrepresented in science communication. We're keen to see more of that and support those who are shifting communications towards being more community-led. And yeah, and we really love that. And then of course Drew, we love that as well because they managed to bypass the legal restrictions of the reporting, greater engagement, and to drive action by creating a wide variety of related separate products, such as our climate campaign, educational resources. And I would love to let you all know now that the winner is Drew Bingham and his team at the Ministry for Environment. Do you want to enable, both of you, do you want to enable your screens. I just want to try, and if you want to do gallery view, I'm not sure how that would work there. That's all right. It doesn't seem to be a gallery view for some reason. Spotlight, there we go. Would somebody be able to just turn on? Yeah, lovely, thank you. So congratulations, Drew.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we that was a very difficult decision, but we do like how you were able to overcome those, and we would love you to say a few words if you would like to now. And kia ora, Diane. Yeah, so thank you very much for that work, and I hope that you will be able to continue doing that. And I know this must be disappointing for you, but I hope that we might be able to find some other ways to help support your work. So thank you very much, Diane. All right, Drew, do you want to say a few words? Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ko Drew Bingham Tokoinua. I just want to say just a huge thanks to SCANZ for this award. Government and report are exactly the two most exciting words in the English language. So this report and recognition just really means a lot to our team and the environmental reporting program altogether. And really, you know, validates the effort and passion that the team brought to putting together all of this materials to make a difference for climate change. And so, I mean, Laurie went over all the kind of challenging things we have to work through with this program about what we have to put in the reports, what we can't put in the reports, how often we have to do the reports. And so being able to put together these materials that can communicate clearly and communicate the data and the issues so that we can make a difference for what we're reporting on is really important to us. And so to get this recognition is just really a testament to the hard work and dedication of the team. So we have kind of a small core of people from MFE and SETS New Zealand that work on the report itself and to analyze the data and write the report, and just really proud of the way they put it all of their heart into everything we've done and supported each other and always focused on, you know, how can we most effectively communicate these really important new insights we're finding when we look at the data. And just a thanks to all the other people who helped with the publishing and communications of the report, and our managers also for having our backs when we wanted to use, you know, communication best practices that didn't always feel comfortable, or we wanted to try new ways of communicating to different audiences. And thinking we had a group of independent experts and of science and Moturangi Māori who are just really important for helping us all along the production process. So thanks to them, and the partners who helped us develop all these amazing ways of making sure we could reach as many people as possible. So the Science Learning Hub with the materials they put together for educators to use in their teaching. I hope everyone can go off to their site after this and check it all out, because it's really amazing. And then just thanks to everyone else in this conference, and it's just blown away to see all these amazing presentations and look at what everyone else is doing in this space, and to think that we're being considered alongside them, much less winning this award, is just a huge honor. So just thanks.
Thank you, Drew. That's very lovely, and I'm really pleased to let you all know as well that Drew asked us to donate the prize money to the Sir Peter Blake Trust, because in Drew's words, their focus on empowering the next generation aligns strongly with the goals of our reporting. So it's very kind of you, Drew, and your team. Thank you very much. So we are running over, so I'll make this very quick. Just so you all know, it's being recorded, so you'll be able to watch this later if you have missed it. And yeah, that is it really. Keep you all Yep, so just have a great summer, everyone. And I'll just close with a karakia now, just to close off the whole conference. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much to all the speakers, not just today, but throughout the whole thing. There's no way that we would have had such an enjoyable conference without you. So thank you all. Unuhia, 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 kiti uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia mama, te nākau, te tinana, te wairua. I te ara takatu, koe iara I rongo whakairihia a kei te runga. Kia wātea, aira kua wātea, haumie huie taike. Ngā mihi mai oha kia koutou, and yeah, have a great summer, and I'll see you all next year.
Thanks.